Okay people, what I'm doing today is I'll be making kind of a little tactical hatchet out of some 3/8 inch thick craft wood. This was about $3 at Lowe's. It says it's 6 inches by 24 inches, but really it's 5.5, around 5.5 by 24. Now what I've done is, this is the pattern for it out of poster board. I'm going to cut this out and then trace it onto my wood, and then I'm going to start cutting it on the scroll saw. And that'll be the next step. Okay, I've got my pattern laid out on a piece of wood here. First thing I'm going to do is going to make a cut across here to shorten up the wood to make it easier to work with. And then next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have to make my relief cuts. Now, anywhere you have a major change in direction, when you're doing a scroll saw project, you got to make your relief cuts. Anywhere you got to change in direction. So the beginning of the next segment will be after I have this cut and I've got my relief cuts made, then I'll cut out the rest of it. Okay, now I'm going to go get my pencil and I'm going to lay out the relief cut lines and then cut those out. Okay, so I've got my relief cuts plotted out now, and I'm not sure if this is the most efficient way to do this, but this is just what I remember from junior high shop class. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make all these relief cuts, and then I'll start cutting away the rest of the wood. I've got the hatchet cut out now. You can see all the scraps I have left over after cutting them, after making my relief cuts. The next step is I'm going to drill a hole down here, put a carabiner through it or hang a rabbit's foot, piece of leather, whatever you want. And after I drill the hole, I'm going to sand it down, which is going to include sanding the beveled edges in here for the blades. So that'll be the next step. Are you taping right now?
Yeah.
I've taken my Dremel tool with a 120 grit sanding drum and put a pretty serious bevel right there to give it the appearance that it's been sharpened. And I'm rounding off all the edges and smoothing down where my relief cuts went a little bit too deep. And then I'll take some 150 grit sandpaper and smooth the whole thing down before I start painting it. Okay, I've got the hatchet all sanded down, I've got my hole drilled, and now I'm going to put a coat of primer on it. This is just regular old Krylon gray primer. Now shake it up real good. And I like to go in a back and forth pattern when I'm spray painting. And I'm probably going to have to put more than one coat on here to get full coverage. Because that's what the instructions say. They say to do it in several thin coats. But when I'm done with this step, it'll have a nice full coat of primer on it. So you can go ahead. Okay, I've got the primer on the hatchet and it's dry. Now I'm going to put a coat of Krylon hammered finish copper. Now this is the fusion paint. It's supposed to use it on plastic, but it shouldn't be a problem going on the primed surface of the wood. And again, with this stuff, you got to do several thin coats with it. You got to keep building it up in layers to get that hammered finish out of it. This is going to go on for a while, so you can go ahead and cut it right there.